At a railway station in a city, there lived a beggar. He used to fill his stomach by begging from the passengers who came and went on the trains. One day, while he was begging, he saw a tall man dressed in a suit. He thought, "This man looks very rich. If I ask him for alms, he'll surely give me good money." So, he began begging from the tall man. Seeing the beggar, the tall man said, "You're always asking. Do you ever give anything to anyone?" The beggar replied, "Sir, I'm just a beggar. I always ask from people. I'm in no position to give anything to anyone." The tall man said, "If you can't give anything to anyone, then you have no right to ask either. I'm a businessman, and I believe in give and take. If you have something to offer me, only then can I give you something in return." Saying this, the tall man boarded the train and left. The beggar kept thinking about what the tall man had said. His words touched the beggar's heart. He began to think, maybe the reason I don't get much money in alms is because I have nothing to give in return. But I'm just a beggar. I don't have anything worth giving to anyone. Still, how long will I keep asking without giving anything back? After thinking a lot, the beggar decided that from now on, whoever gave him alms, he would also give something in return. But now a question was troubling his mind. He himself was a beggar, so what could he possibly give others in exchange for alms? 2 days passed while he kept thinking about this, but he couldn't find an answer to his question. On the third day, as he was sitting near the station, he noticed some flowers blooming on the plants around the station. He thought, why don't I give people some flowers in return for alms? He liked this idea, so he plucked a few flowers from there. Then he went to the train to beg again. Now, whenever someone gave him alms, he would give that person a few flowers in return. People happily accepted the flowers and kept them with them. Every day, the beggar would pick flowers and distribute them to people in exchange for alms. Within a few days, he noticed that more and more people were giving him alms. He would pluck all the flowers around the station, and as long as he had flowers, many people would give him money. But once he ran out of flowers to give, people stopped offering him anything. This continued every day. One day, while he was begging, he saw that same tall man again, was sitting in the train, the same man who had inspired him to start giving flowers in exchange for alms. The beggar immediately went up to him and, while begging, said, "Today I have something to give you in return, some flowers. If you give me alms, I will give you flowers in exchange." The tall man gave him some money as alms, and the beggar gave him a few flowers in return. The tall man really liked this gesture and said, "Wow, wonderful. Today, you have become a businessman like me." Saying this, the tall man got off at his station with the flowers. But once again, his words touched the beggar's heart. He kept thinking about what the tall man had said and felt very happy. His eyes started to shine with excitement. He felt as though he had finally found the key to success, the key that could change his life. He immediately got off the train and, looking up at the sky with great excitement, shouted loudly, "I'm not a beggar. I'm a businessman. I too can become rich." People who saw him thought that perhaps the beggar had gone mad. From the next day, that beggar was never seen at the station again. But 6 months later, at the same station, 2 men dressed in suits were traveling. They looked at each other, and one of them reached out to shake hands and said, "Do you recognize me?" The other man replied, "No, I don't think we've met before. As far as I remember, this is the first time." The first man said, "No, think again. We're not meeting for the first time. This is actually the third time." The second man said, "I don't remember. When did we meet the first 2 times?" Now, the first man smiled and said, "We met twice before on this very train. I'm that same beggar whom you once told what I should do in life, and the second time you reminded me who I truly am." The second man smiled, astonished, and said, "Oh yes, now I remember. You're that beggar I once refused to give alms to, and the second time I bought flowers from you. But today, where are you going in this suit?" The second man asked, "So it is you? And what are you doing these days?" The first man replied, "Yes, I am that same beggar, but today I am a successful flower merchant, and I'm on my way to another city for business." After pausing for a moment, he continued, "In our first meeting, you taught me a fundamental law of nature, that we only receive something when we give something in return. This law of give and take really works. I've experienced it deeply, but the problem was I always saw myself as just a beggar. I never thought beyond that. And when we met the second time, you told me I'd already become a businessman. That was when I truly realized that I was no longer a beggar. I had become a businessman. I understood why people were giving me so much money, not as charity, but in exchange for those flowers. Everyone was buying those flowers because they couldn't find them anywhere else for that price. In the eyes of the world, I was a small-time vendor, but in my own eyes, I still saw myself as a beggar. After your words, I started to see myself differently as a real businessman. With the money I earned selling flowers on the train, I bought more flowers and eventually started my own flower business. People here love flowers, and their love for them helped me become a successful flower merchant today." Both businessmen were now smiling. When their station arrived, they got off together and walked forward, talking about their respective businesses. Friends, this story teaches us many valuable lessons. In the story, the tall businessman clearly understood the principle of give and take. All successful people in the world have used this natural rule to achieve great things. He shared this principle with the beggar. The beggar embraced it, and the results were clearly visible in his life. He changed his mindset, and that changed his entire life. The story shows us that if we change how we think, we can achieve anything. If we continue to see ourselves as small, we will remain small. To become great, we must first think greatly of ourselves. The essence of the story is this: success lies in your mindset. Awaken your self-respect, think big, and watch how high you can rise.